All right, guys, you hear me talk all the time about the importance of building your brand and getting out there and getting on video and being consistent with your content so that you can expand your business and generate those inbound appointments and sales. Now, you might be sick of hearing me talk about it, so I want to bring on someone who is an actual contractor to talk about it. So my guest today, Andrew Itnyre of Masters Roofing in Memphis, Tennessee. Andrew is a true practitioner. He's a sales rep at his family's roofing company, and he has been doing this stuff for years in terms of content and creating videos and building his brand. He's got a great following. He's been generating inbound appointments and sales for many years, and he's starting to actually generate appointments for other people on his team as well. So, fun conversation here with Andrew, someone that is in this stuff all day, every day, as I am. We geek out a little bit and talk about how you can implement a consistent content strategy as a sales rep, as a roofing company, a contracting company. Anyone can implement the things that we talk about today. So tune in, grab something to take notes with, grab some coffee, and get ready for my conversation with Andrew Itnyre. All right, Andrew, I am so excited we made the time, that you made the time. I know everyone's busy these days. So let's start off. How you doing? How you doing today? You playing some golf?
Oh, I wish I was playing some golf. That's more my father's forte, but I get out there every once in a while. I tell people all the time, especially clients, I wear a lot of golf course shirts out, rather than sticking to dress code like my father tries to tell me to do. And they always say, like, how often do you play? And it's not much because I'm working as hard as I can to make sure that he's able to golf every day if he wants to. So he's usually out there hustling someone with the company, taking them out and, taking their money. They play for money. He's big on that and very competitive. And so, he'll take the guys out and just talk about things other than roofing for a few hours and have some fun playing golf. And so that's kind of his thing. I kind of stick to the social media stuff, and I try to get out when I can and play as much. But I mean, the social media stuff takes up a lot of time, a lot of commitment there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So your dad's the relationship manager, I guess. I used to play in my previous career. I played a decent amount of golf. It was a lot of that, like biz dev, long term relationship building with big accounts and things like that. So I get that, but now running contractor dynamics, like I pretty much building a family, building a business, and golf is just kind of intentionally taking a back seat for a little while,
Oh
which is
yeah.
okay because I love what I do. So yeah, so we're gonna dive into that social media stuff and all that. Definitely want to see what your process is like and all that stuff. But give the audience a little bit of a background as to who you are, what you do, where you're coming from, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so my name's Andrew Itnyre. I'm with Masters Roofing. Been with the company since 2014. Initially started out as a productions manager. That's where I kind of cut my teeth on how the roofing process is done. I got very lucky in having a great mentor in Austin Fleming, who's my older brother. You might know him from the guys down at Watkins, but
Yeah, we met
just
down there in Jackson, Mississippi last year. Yeah.
yeah, and he's I'm so thankful for having him in my life because I don't think I would be as effective of a sales guy without him. And but I started working with the company, uh, ran 6 crews a day, waking up at 5 a.m., getting home at 11 o'clock at night. Just working hard, dog days of summer. And ended up happening was I had some issues with my lungs. I developed histoplasmosis that wouldn't calcify. So it was this whole thing where I went through a brief period of time where they weren't sure what was going to happen, if I was going to something serious as far as passing away would happen, or whatever the case was. But come to find out that a lot of it was due to the fact that I was riding around with untreated wood in the truck of my KV, and that had bat droppings on it. And so therefore, kind of breathing that in with the KV ended up getting histoplasmosis that wouldn't calcify. So I had to go through all that. So my father at that point in time, he kind of appointed me as the supervisor of the supervisor. And that doesn't fly with my father for too long, because he's like, hey, you got to earn your keep around here. That's how he's always been, and why me and my brother are so effective at doing what we do is because he wants the best out of all of us. And so, he talked to my brother. I think my brother kind of pushed him into making me a sales guy, which he originally didn't think I was going to be effective as. And so what ended up happening, my brother said, hey, listen, I'll bet you I can make him a sales guy. Just give him to me for a month. If I can't make him a sales guy, he can go right back into productions, or you can find something else for him to do. And so went into sales, and first month and a half, 2 months, you have that initial, putting in the pavement, hitting the pavement, knocking doors, putting up door hangers, mailers. And that first 2 months is a grind because you don't know, you're getting leads, but they're not all that great. And you're just trying to get your first deals. And so I got really lucky. I went out to a lady named Jody Stafford, and she was actually my first roof that I ended up selling. So $25,000. It was a golden pledge warranty with GAF, which was awesome. And so that was my first job, and I just was hooked from there on sales. And just over time, one thing I would always tell my father, this was before social media, before anything, was anytime that we lost a bid, it made me mad, because I told him, I said, if we show people our work, even if we just gave them addresses to look at, and they took the time to drive around and see what we could do, and and they knew what type of people we were, we would be extremely, I said people would choose us each and every time, and then lo and behold, about a year and a half later, I ended up getting into social for the first time, actually off of a recommendation from Michael Deere, who I believe is an OG in the industry as far as the way he operates. No one operates like Michael that I've met, including my own father. I think it takes a special person to be as audacious as Michael is. And but my brother ended up having lunch with him to talk about consulting, and he told him how successful he was on Facebook and converting on Facebook. So I started looking into that and started just taking basic pictures from the ground, of my jobs at the end of the building, posting them on social media. And that's where it all started. And it just kind of developed into this whole thing, that I never even expected it to kind of turn out the way it did. I'm glad it turned out the way it is, because now I got a bunch of friends in the industry. I think going to the IRE was a real eye-opening experience, kind of seeing people come up, taking pictures and telling what they get out of my content. And it's just overall been a pretty crazy ride.
Wow, that's interesting. We'll have to give Michael a little plug in here, owner of Watkins Construction down in Jackson, Mississippi, and Alabama. Yeah, they have an amazing brand, amazing company, good marketing. That's it. That's so interesting. Michael texted me a couple hours ago. He's looking for recommendations on podcast equipment. I'm like, hey, you start a podcast now? He's like, yeah, it's in the plans.
There we
They're
go.
building out a new building and office, as you know. And he's like, yeah, we're making this soundproof podcast room. And, he probably doesn't even know what he's going to talk about in the podcast, but he knows that
Mm-hmm.
he wants to continue to innovate and stay ahead of the curve and all that stuff. So that's really cool.
And that's, sometimes you just got to throw yourself into it, and that's one thing that I think I've been very successful at doing, is like, when I tell people this all the time, I was doing so well with photos and building my brand with photos that I was just on a hot streak. Each post I was posting was getting to 2,500 to 3,000 people back then. And then Instagram came around with Reels. And there was rumors at the time that Reels was going to be their version of competing with TikTok. And I'm like, I really hope that's not the case, because I really don't want to do videos. I'm not good in front of a camera. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do all this. I don't have time for it. I'm selling roofs. So when it was confirmed that that was going to be the route that they were going, when Facebook came out and said, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do over the next year and a half, we're going to transition into Reels, I was heartbroken. I just remember saying to myself, like, oh, this is going to be miserable. It's going to be the end of my growth and all the success that I had. And then one day I was like, you know what? Might as well just try to put one out. So I put my first reel out, and it actually did pretty well. It got 1,500 or 2,000 views, which at the time, people don't know back then.
All right.
Um,
So you,
mhm.
you keep dropping these, like, back then, that sort of thing. Like, what year is this when that
I would say Reels got introduced around 2000 and early 2019, I believe is that. Yeah, right when TikTok came on the scene, they
They're
started.
around with like IGTV and like they had something
Yes.
else too. I think it was they were kind of messing around with it for a little while. Yeah.
And
All right.
so the thing about it is, did very well with the photos, and then Reels came out, and I said, you know what? I said I might as well try to make one, see what happens. And then I ended up getting 1,500 or 2,000 views on the first one. And I remember saying to myself, I said that's more than what I was getting on the regular videos I was putting just on the basic format on how you upload it to Instagram. I said, well, that's a improvement, and I would at least try to put videos in my content at that time to give people something different to look at, other than my photos. So I said, well, 1,500 or 2,000 views, that's not too bad. I said, I'm going to keep working on it. And so over time, I just worked on that's when I got my first drone, started flying up, taking photos. And then I slowly worked in doing the videos that I do with the drones. And then I do all my editing and all my videos off of my phone pretty much. So that's one thing that Ben, a guy that I met at the International Roofing Expo, he did marketing for Drake and some of these big artists like in the industry as far as rap and music goes. And he says, "What do you use as far as your gear for recording videos?" And he's like, "Do you got a gimbal?" I said, "Well, I just use my phone." And he said, "Your phone?" He's like a gimbal and your phone, or like, how are you recording these videos the way that you're doing it? It can't just be your phone. I said, it's all 100% off of my phone in my phone case, which is a Loopy. Hope I get sponsored by them at some point. Right. So literally I just use this as a control, and this is my gimbal. Now I'm recording on a gimbal that GAF sent me recently after the International Roofing Expo. I don't use the gimbal ever because it's just not. I think it makes it more complicated than it has to be, you know? And so I keep it, people always think like, hey, in order to grow a following of 17,000 followers and to do X, Y, and Z, that it has to be super complicated and you have to pay all this money for, having someone to record these high end videos. Me and Michael talked about this several times. He's always wanted to throw money at it. And that's a great thing to do. But if you just find one person that can focus on creating the content, or you can train your guys to make the content, then it becomes a lot easier for you. And it doesn't cost you as much down the
Oh,
road.
absolutely. Yeah, I think people have that hang up a lot, right? Like you need the fancy camera and all the equipment and the money and like I have a fancy camera, I hardly know how to use it. So then you have to like learn how to use it and edit it and all that. And it
Mm-hmm.
becomes this whole big thing and people just like are like, no, I'm not doing that. And rightfully so. Like, you're a sales rep or you're running a roofing company, like you don't have the time to learn all that fancy stuff. So like,
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, like you said, we have the device right in our pockets right now. Why not learn to use that, right? So
Exactly.
are you editing on your phone as well, or how are you
Yeah,
doing that?
yep. I use CapCut, which is my favorite editing app. Pretty basic. It's the same thing that everyone uses on TikTok, different things like that. And the thing about it is, it's just diving into the apps itself. Like I've been editing on CapCut for about a year and a half now, and I'm still finding new things, new different features that I can add and do something different with. And that just comes from experimenting and taking the time to do it. And that's the number one thing. People don't want to waste their time, and I get that. That's the one thing that we don't get any of it back, but it's also the one thing that we can give away for free, too. And so that's why, I don't mind taking the time to sit there and edit. Like Orlando, me and him were talking about this recently on a podcast. I spent one day in the office recording this video that ended up getting around 5,000 views, which isn't astronomical or anything like that. But I spent 3 hours making the video, and I'm sitting there sweating after hours from 4 to 6, 7 p.m. trying to make this video the way I wanted it to, because I'm recording in times three, and it took forever to get it right. But then once I got it right, I was like, okay, now I know how to do it. Now I just continually progress and work on this. And that's another thing that's different that no one else is doing. And so I take that approach to everything. I think copywriting is a great thing to do. I know you're big on copywriting too, right, Joe?
Yeah, like writing. Yeah, I love
Hmm.
it. I geek out over it. Yeah, it's fun.
Oh yeah, it's a real good time, but you start off as your copywriting, and then just over the years you develop these different ways to kind of approach it. Sometimes I use humor, sometimes I use I'm big on call to action. I try to do it different each and every time, so each post is different and has a different kind of feel to it. And so I do that with every type of marketing technique that you can do, whether it's copywriting, video editing, photos. It's just like playing a video game where you have, a character level that can go up to 99, right? 99 levels. I'm trying to max out every single version of it so that way I can become as efficient at producing content as possible.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Like you have to be a student of the game, and like people see my written content. Maybe I don't think it's that great. I'm always learning and improving. One of our core values. But like every week, I'm like saving posts and screenshotting things that I think are really good. Different hooks,
Mm-hmm.
different calls to action, different ways to like shift someone's mindset. Like I have a few people that I follow that I'm not copying, but I'm like, all right, like
Mm-hmm.
I love this post this guy wrote. Like, why do I love it? Right? Like, what is it about it that I love it? And kind of, put
Mm-hmm.
my own spin on things. You got to be a student of the game, yeah, because it moves fast. Like you kind of alluded to, like you're crushing it with photos, and you're like, man, I got this thing here. I got this like little like niche here. Like, don't mess with my system. And
Yeah, and
Instagram,
then that's the thing
like,
about it is like with Instagram is it started out with incremental changes like every year, right? And then it went from
yeah,
every year to every 3 months, then every month, and then now it's like it can change from a week to week basis, and it's miserable to keep up with sometimes for us as creators.
yeah,
It's like how do I wrap my head around this? And now I just went live the other day, and the live session went great. I had a ton of people come in. Lee Haight asked for an Instagram audit and came on for a minute. Kind of I think I kind of made him. I criticized one or two things, and he's like, I got to get in to defend myself. So we were able to chop it up on social media, and it's fun. There's always something new and something to learn about, and that's one thing that I'm big on. I tell people all the time. And now you're seeing these other platforms come along. It used to be only Instagram and Facebook, and now you have all these other platforms coming along that's making things even more difficult. You got TikTok rivaling Instagram, and I don't like TikTok as a creator. Like it's not my platform. I think it's a toxic environment. But I also got the most views I ever got on a video, 400,000 views. That was on TikTok.
wow,
How many of those were? That's the thing about TikTok. I got 3,600 followers. I never had one person come up to me at any event or online anywhere and said, "Hey, you're the guy from TikTok." It's always been Instagram and Facebook.
yeah. So who are those people on TikTok that are liking your content? Are they teenage girls from like another country or what? You don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't know, and they understand. TikTok understands as a culture. Like the reason why people like their platform is because they can go viral. And that's
Exactly. You don't need a big following to go viral. Yeah.
exactly. And so that viral culture, that especially with someone who never went viral before, it's like, oh, I went viral. This is the platform I need to be on. I'm going to create this whole brand around it. And then over time, once that they hook you in, then they cut down your reach, and then they start saying, okay, he's addicted to the platform now. So now let's make him compete with everyone else. Whereas with Instagram, what I like about Instagram is I can post a video, and the really engaging ones, they'll get between 3 to 5,000 views. The good ones get around 1,500 to 2,000 views, and then the ones that are like ones that made a statement that I look back on, I'm like, man, I'm glad I made that video. Those are the ones that get 20 to 30,000 views. But I like the fact that I can post it each and every day, and I'm getting a measurable result of how many people it's getting to. And you're seeing
Right.
them transfer that over to Facebook now with Facebook Reels, and I like the
Hmm.
way that's operating too. The thing that I'm getting a little bit different pull from Facebook Reels to Facebook Instagram. They're operating two different ways. I'm noticing Facebook Reels is getting more to your local market, Whereas with Instagram, it's more sporadic. It's out to everyone, so it's going out to everyone. So you don't know exactly where those views are coming from. So some of them might be across the country, across the world. Whereas Facebook, I'm noticing the people who are liking the content and the people who are viewing it are all in the local area, which I like that a lot because I'm trying to sell roofs every day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, that brings me to a question I want to ask for the audience at this point, because you got especially skeptical people or people that have tried social media, they haven't seen the results. And
Mm-hmm.
you're here talking, you've got a great following. You're talking about meeting up with people at conferences. They want to take selfies with you, like all that. You're talking about views and thousands of views. But views don't pay the bills, right? So
Yes.
talk about how that's translated into your business and selling roofs and like
Mm-hmm.
really boots on the ground, like what that's done for you.
So I definitely a major change for me financially really started taking off around 2020 when the pandemic hit. It was like, I don't know what happened with the pandemic, but I mean, I did 1.2 million. 2019, I decided to operate completely off of social media, right? And I was still doing mailers every once in a while, but I wasn't doing them as frequently. And I did $1.2 million that year. And I said, okay, great, this is awesome. So I had some people that were kind of making fun of the fact that I was so into social media.
Like you're not a real roofer, you're just a social media star or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and it's like you're silly. You think people are watching this? Really, you're just getting kind of lucky with it. So what I ended up doing is I want to see how much it worked. So December 19th of 2020, I cut off all forms of marketing other than social media. And since then, so 2020, I did 1.8 million. And every other year since then, I'm right around a million. I'm not pushing as hard as I used to. I'm trying to make more time spending it with a kid at home and, trying to do stuff outside of roofing now with just continuing to build the brand. And I want to show my father that I want to run marketing for the whole entire company. I just don't want to do it for myself. And so that's a hard thing to do to someone that doesn't care all that much about social media. But when he hears people talk about it, and he hears the different things that are, he sees the numbers, the different things that are going on. And recently he started letting me opening up and starting to train some of these or starting to do content for some of these other guys. And one of the guys that kind of jumped head first into it is Ed Hill, which he's 73 or 74 years old. And he's been selling roofs since I was in diapers. So I was so happy that he was into it. And so we done about 10 videos, some pictures, different things like that. And he said initially I was really skeptical about it. But he says the one thing I've been doing is I've been asking people when they call me, where did they get me from? And they're all saying online, you know?
Huh.
So whereas before they were saying a letter in the mail or a door hanger, whatever the case was. So I said, well, you need to tell my dad that because that would be a huge, huge help, kind of persuading him over to let me do it for the whole company. But it's hard because the thing about it is you make pretty good money doing roof sales when you do it the right way. And so my father is kind of when it comes to his he still like operates like $80,000 is a good salary or whatever the case is. And in today's world, it's just not as much as it used to be. So that's kind of the thing. And my brother he kind of went out on his own and did consulting, and he sees the following that I have now and that I've developed. And he said the thing about you is the way that you approach social media is so different from what I hear from everyone else. So why don't you go out and take the time and devise your own way to kind of come up and train people to do it the way that you do it. And so I'm working with him, and he's helping me develop those different aspects of it. And I think the cool thing about consulting is that I know so many people in the community is so friendly. Everyone. I look at it as like stand-up comedians, right? If I were to run a comedy shop, right? One night I might have Joe Rogan. the other night I might have Dave Chappelle, Tim Dillon, all the guys come in, but they all bring something different to the table. And that's the way I look at consulting. So, people ask me all the time, I'm like, why are you so helpful? Why are you doing this for free? What's in it for you? And it's just, I just grew up helping people. So it's just always been in it for me to do it. Growing up, I always worked with special needs kids. And so giving to someone that can't give back to you, except for love, the love that you get out of it, the admiration and just a relationship you build, that's always been the most important thing to me. Even back then, I'm going to Florida next week, and the first place I'll be going is to see my best friend who has cerebral palsy in a wheelchair. So that I always put more value in relationships over the currency aspect of things. And my brother and my dad are like the complete opposite. They're more, like, you need to be focused on money. And my whole thing is like, money will always be there. Money will always come. It'll always go. I want to be around people that like me, that love me, and that join my presence. And then if it turns into something where there's currency involved, then great.
Okay. I like that. Mm-hmm. So you're a sales rep for the company. Is there and your dad is the owner of the company?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. My father's the owner with my uncle. And then we have a production manager, Chad. We have about 12 sales guys. So it's very simple operation, very simple. Not a whole lot of money invested into Google, a very basic website, which I'm about to redo on my father's request. He said, hey, these people are referring to you as one of the best in the industry when it comes to social media. How about you redesign our website, which is two totally different, lanes.
Yeah. Are you doing it yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna dive into it. So I'm working on getting access to it now. So next week, I already rewrote everything that made it sound the way that I wanted to. So now it's just putting it up and kind of diving in. It'll be like going live for the first time. It's like you just dive into it. You don't know what's going to happen. But either way, I don't mind figuring it out. I think it's a good thing to kind of do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing about my father is he's always looked at Masters Roofing as like a boat. Him and my uncle still till this day take a salary. They don't split the profit and go out and buy the big mansions and buy the boats and do all that crazy stuff. They're building it up. They have money stacked away, stored away to make sure that everything's taken care of in the future. That's how they always been and how they always will be. But if you operate that way and you're putting that money away, sometimes it can be better used if you're putting it towards getting more business. So like Michael putting 1% back, and putting it into marketing or whatever else you want to do, that's only going to get you more business down the road. And it's hard knowing these things and then, still finding a way to operate around a father that thinks completely different, But like at the end of the day, it's all love. That's what, that's the thing about me is like at the end of the day, he's my father. I love going into work every day and seeing him. And, I almost lost him in 2020. He had an open heart. He had an aneurysm and they had to get taken out, and it didn't go well the first time. So they had to go back in and do it again. And it was a really scary moment. And that just kind of opened up my eyes to, hey, you only got one life. Who do you want to spend it with? And so, consulting out, if I do it, it will hopefully stay a part-time thing. That's what I want to do. I want to still sell roofs and then go out and do consulting, like, 2-day training or 4-day trainings, and then come back and get back into selling roofs and seeing if I can juggle the two. But I mean, it's one of those things where you're looking at like you're selling roofs, you're doing the consulting. Like if I decide to do it, doing the consulting, and then you got to still spend time with her family too.
Right.
So be a father, and that's a big thing to me too.
100%. Yeah. And I totally get it, man. Like you don't want to do the same thing forever. Right. So like selling is probably something you love, but like you have other passions and other things that you want to get energy from. And I totally agree. Like you need to draw energy from like different sources. Yeah. I grew up in my family's construction business here in New Jersey, working for like my father and 2 uncles are the owners still. My cousin Brian and I kind of grew up in the business together. and a lot of the similar, I guess, dynamic, right? Those guys are the company's 130 years old, so it's very, very old company, very conservatively run and very well run. Very, just one of those big old, just things that just keeps moving and keeps, growing little by little. And sometimes it was frustrating for my cousin Brian and I. Like, we came out of college and we thought like, hey, we should try this thing, we should try that thing, And a lot of those ideas were probably stupid because we didn't know what we were doing. We just read a bunch of textbooks in college, but like, and they would dismiss a lot of the ideas, and some of the ideas might have been good, but it's just that, like, my dad and my uncles, now they're in their, low 70s in age. Like, they're at just different stages in their career. Like, they don't really, I do give them credit because they are implementing a lot of like innovative things now, and they're continuing to reinvest in their growth. But like, at the time, it kind of felt like, all right, they're at this stage in their life, they're kind of like on their way out. Brian and I are kind of on our way in, and we're just like, different mindsets there. But now they're on social media. I think they're on TikTok. I'm not sure. One of my cousins is running the social media. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I totally get that dynamic. So that's, I mean, man, if you just like, train the other sales reps, like this guy, the 74-year-old, you could have a big impact on Masters Roofing for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean it's already, that's the thing. What made me go to my father and tell him like, hey, I would really like to go in and do this is because one day I walked in to the design center, and Dylan has a customer who's another sales guy, and the people look over and they go, "Oh, you're the guy from Instagram," you know. And so we kind of chopped it up for a minute, and I was like, "Hey, thank you guys so much for following me. Dylan's going to take great care of you guys, and thank you guys so much for believing us and using us." Right. So then the next day I go into the conference room, and I'm sitting there doing some editing for Ed, and he brings in a couple, and they go, "Oh, you're the guy from Instagram. We love your videos. We got a letter from Ed, and so we called him. We love your guys' story and who you guys are as a company, and we love the flashiness sometimes, and then the third day, Robert was out at a customer's house and at this lady Michelle's house, and we talk all the time on Instagram, me and Michelle, and so because she owns a local business here in Memphis, and she sent me a picture of Robert in the house and said, "Hey, just got my roof approved. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys done." And so I told my dad, I said, at the end of the day, and like the thing that made me kind of realize it was like, I didn't sit there and say, well, like, hey, we need to split those jobs. Those are mine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, get a piece of that commission, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, but either way, I look at it as, there's people that would do that. But for me, it was just nice to have someone say, hey, we love your stuff. And that was good enough for me. I didn't feel any way about it. I didn't treat the sales guys any differently. And so I tell my dad this all the time. I work twice as hard for someone else as I do for myself. And I work pretty damn hard for myself anyways.
Right.
So, I just told him, I said, at the end of the day, I think that, it would be better served if I can duplicate myself 12 times over. It's a lot of work for me, but I would love to do it. And if anything, it showed me like, if I go out and I decide to go do the consulting and train other companies, it shows me what I'm dealing with. I get 12 other opportunities to see how my game plan works on other people's accounts that are just starting out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah. You're helping those guys, your buddies, like probably have easier sales, and like close a higher percentage because of some of the work that you've done, and, that benefits everyone. That's really awesome.
Yeah, and that's kind of always been my thing is I love doing it. I told the guys down from New Mexico, I said sometimes like there's people that you'll meet in your life that just does it to do it, like just does it. They don't think about the rewards that are coming their way or what's going to happen next. They just want to do what they do, and that's like the type of person I am. I just want to create content, do it to the best of my ability. I don't mind sharing it with other people because if they get better at it, then it just pushes me forward,
Right.
and it's just a win-win for everyone. I mean, I feel like I could invite some of these guys I met on Instagram to my wedding, like and be in my groomsmen party,
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's just fun for me. And it's a lot of work. And I know that but that's how I've always been growing up. Like when it came to wrestling, I would wrestle, 4 times a day in high school. I have morning practice, After school, I would go to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu grappling practice. And then I had wrestling at American Top Team from 10 to midnight. And I would wake up and do it all again, over again the next day. So it's just always been, I get obsessed with certain things I do. And that's just my way to kind of express myself.
All right, guys, I want to jump in here real quick. Thanks for watching, listening to this content. Andrew is truly a rock star. I want to invite you to join our Nailed It Facebook group. This is a free group that is open to leaders in the construction and the roofing industry. And it's a place where I and our team put out content to really help you implement some of the things that Andrew and I are talking about today. We actually just released a brand new video training course. It's 10 videos on how you can really utilize your phone to take good pictures, take good videos, do some basic editing and things like that. So we'll be dripping out that content in the Nailed It Facebook group for you. So just tap the link below, go to the link on your screen and join that Nailed It Facebook group. It's a really fun group. We've got, no spam in there. It's all about education, sharing examples of what's working and things like that. So check that out when you get a chance, and back to the episode. Yeah, that's awesome, man. It feels good to help. Yeah, we had someone reach out yesterday, a roofing company looking for help. They're like a guy I know. I met. We actually had dinner at Itnyre. We had some sushi down there, and he messaged me yesterday. He's like, "Hey, man, we're doing this content. It's pretty good. Running ads, just not getting the results we really want. Can I pay you your team for an hour of your time just to hop on Zoom and help us out, right? Help us figure out which end is up." And I responded right away. Included someone on our team to dive in and help them on Zoom sometime next week. And he's like, "Oh, let us know how we can pay you. I know your time's valuable, blah, blah. Send me a bill," that whole sort of thing. And I was like, "No, man, I'd rather just help out and whatever comes of it, comes of it. Down the road, if you see value in working with us, great. Or, this guy runs a much, much bigger company than I do and has more experience running a business than I do. So, hey, we're going to be on Zoom for an hour. And so I'm definitely going to learn a couple of things about the way he thinks or the way he does things." So it's the long game. I'm not looking to make, I could charge him $500 for an hour on Zoom or something like that. To me, that's nothing compared to building that relationship long term. So,
for sure. And that's one thing my brother always said was the most valuable part of consulting is going out to these places and hearing people talk that the company brings in, or just learning how people like Michael Deere operate. I think it's a cool thing that the consulting aspect of it. I just know it's a lot of time away from the family, a lot of traveling. That's one thing that, he always told me was the toughest part.
Yeah, it is. It is. I do sprints in the spring. There's, conference season. In the fall, there's conference season. Now we're in May. I try not to go anywhere in the summer because I live by the beach at the Jersey Shore and summer is very short. So yeah, and ultimately you want to get to the point where you can, pick and choose when you go, where you go. You don't need to do it, right? If you do it, you're making money from it. But if you don't need the money, that's a luxury. You can kind of pick and choose where you want to go and that sort of thing. So
that's making it too. That's the coolest thing ever to be able to say,
yeah,
I don't need to go to the conference. I can just kind of sit back and, so that's amazing that you've done that for yourself.
Well, we're getting there. I love it. I love the in-person aspect of it for sure. But, there's a balance, right? It also burns you out because it's early mornings, late nights, just especially when you're presenting or you're on, you're running a booth at a conference, it takes me a week to recover, just get back in the routine.
That was the thing that stood out to me when I went to the IRE, talking to some of the people like Patrick Hart and Jim Aldine and some of these other guys, seeing the post, once that the show's over, the madness that ensues on their phone, that they have to sit there and pick up calls, talk to clients. And it's just immediately from conference, running the booth to now I'm dealing with customers, and clients. So that was definitely an insight to see, and it's much respect to you guys.
Whew. Yeah, there's an event. There's an event in Charlotte next week, Greenville, South Carolina, that I was supposed to go to next week, and I just yesterday decided not to go, only because we have a great team, and I can definitely get away for a couple of days, but when you have a lot of momentum, like business momentum, I have a lot going on. Personally, I'm in a really good routine of sleep and working out and, health and fitness and all that. Plus, we have a couple key people that are out. So I'm like, you know what? I got such good momentum going. Like I can go next week, but then I'm going to come back. I'm going to be tired for like a few days. Like I'm going to get behind, and I just really don't want to do that right now. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to say no. You want to, like, it's with people that I want to be with and all that sort of thing. But
You
you
got to
gotta,
put yourself first sometimes, and like
yeah,
that's one thing that I tell myself all the time is I always try to keep stuff in the hopper as far as content goes, because I know if I have to go out there and generate it and then post it as well, like
oh,
that's a whole nother level of stress. So if I have like 5 appointments in a day and then I still have to generate content for a post or go to a past build or one that I just finished up and fly up the drone, that's just something else I'm adding to it. So one thing I
yeah,
always try to do is have like 3 or 4 posts that I can put out at any point in time. So, and that's what I call filler post. So those are the
yeah.
ones that I designed to do well, put a good message behind, write the caption that I want to put at the bottom. But those are the ones that just kind of gets me through the week, you know?
No, I agree. I have, and I definitely want to dig into your schedule a little bit. In my schedule, my calendar, I have like blocks throughout the week where I write content.
Mm-hmm.
Like this morning, I wrote 2 long form posts. Like one will be up tonight, another one tomorrow. This podcast we're recording right now, it'll probably be live. It'll probably be published in 4 or 5 weeks. So right now we're ahead of the game, which is nice. During busy season, we get behind, and it's like, all right, we're recording this today. It's going to go live on YouTube tomorrow. Like there's so much pressure in that.
Oh,
And then
for sure.
the final product isn't as good. So now we have time to run the process, and it'll be better. But yeah, that's such a big. I mean, most people listening to this, watching this, like, all right, it's cool. By the way, we'll include all the links to Andrew's stuff below, so you guys can go check it out and see what he's all about. Get some inspiration there. But like, the big objection is, man, I don't have time, right? Like this stuff
Mm-hmm.
takes time. I just don't have time to do it. How do you manage it?
The more you do it, the quicker you get at it. That's my biggest answer to that. But the more you do it, the quicker you get at it, right? The more efficient you get at it. No different than going to the gym. So when you go to the gym for the first time, you might put up 135, but you stick there for 2, 3 years, you'll be benching 315 in no time. That's just the way it works. If you want to put in the work, you'll get results and you'll get them quicker and more efficiently. So that's one thing that back when I first started, I would spend all day designing a post on my laptop and just, it would take up my whole day and I would think so much about it. Now looking back on that content, I used to think it was awesome. Now it's not awesome, but it's still something to look back on and say, I consistently put in the work and I consistently got better. And if I continue to do that going forward, it's only going to get better. I'm only going to take it to the next level. So you use that as motivation. But the main thing is anything that you're doing, you don't want to spend all day on it, right? You want to spend time on getting efficient at the process, making sure that when you're flying up a drone that you're getting the good shots that you want. And then that way, all you have to do from there is edit. And the more that you edit, the quicker you become at it. And then, the beauty about Instagram, and I wanted to make a point. I didn't know if I was going to do it on the live or this podcast, but I had 2 videos, one that got, or 3 videos. All 3 of them I didn't save to my phone because I didn't think that they were good enough to use down the road, right? As like resurfacing 2, 3 months from now to see how they work. So I didn't save them on my phone. The other ones that I did save on my phone that I thought were going to be awesome and do really well, the 3 that I just threw together in 5, 10 minutes and put it out, they got, I think one got 2,500 views, 3,500 views, and one's over 5,200 views now, right? And those are all ones that I threw together within 5 to 10 minutes. The one I spent time on, the one that I did for my kid the other day, it's not performing as well as I would like it to, but that's the randomness of Instagram. Sometimes it's like it doesn't, it's all up to chance either way. So that's why I tell people it's not worth sitting there spending all day critiquing it, because if you just put it out, you're going to find out if it's a good video or a bad video, or something that resonates with people or something that doesn't. And you're not the person, even if we spent all day thinking about it, we're never going to come up with the correct answer on whether it's going to resonate or not. We'll be wrong
Right.
50% of the time. Sometimes you can predict it, sometimes you can't, but more times than not, I'm wrong on the videos that I think that are going to do really well. So that's one thing I always tell people is like, work on being good, getting good at editing, making sure that your photos are crisp, your editing crisp. If you're doing any kind of overlay work, like on Canva, different things like that, work on getting efficient at that and doing that in a timely manner. And then, the rest kind of takes care of itself as the posting goes. Captions, there's times like the other day I was sitting there with Josh, who he's kind of like my right-hand guy, my best friend, and we sell roofs together. So like I'll help him sell a roof and he helps me do videos and stuff every once in a while. And I remember doing a post that I was generating, and I remember saying to him, I said, I'm spending entirely way too much time on this. I was about an hour in. I'm like, this is entirely way too much time.
Wow.
So that's how frustrated I get sometimes, because I want it to look a certain way, or, I'm trying to do something on Canva and it's not working. So then I have to mess with it for an hour. But like, there does get a point where I say to myself, like, okay, we got to get better at this. Right. So it's always about spending less time generating the same quality content. And that's the ultimate goal. And I think if you do that enough, then it makes it easier to transcend platforms, because what works on Instagram today works different on LinkedIn, works different on Lemonade, works different on TikTok. So you got to make content for each individual aspects of these platforms. And what I told Tyler the other day on a live, we were talking about the next step for me. I wanted to get 10,000 followers by the time I was 30, right? I'm 29. I have 17,000 followers on Instagram. So I captured that. And so the next step for me is transcending platforms, right? Taking my following and moving it over to a different platform, right? And he says, well, how do you do that? And I said, the only way that it's going to be able to be done is if I make the same quality of content in a different way for each individual platform. So that way, if you see me on Instagram, whatever I'm posting on LinkedIn, you're missing that. So if you know what I mean? And I told him the only way I'm going to be able to do that is either work my tail off to do it or start, developing a team. So one thing that Gary Vee does, you see Gary Vee as a personality, but he said that I think it was a week or so ago, he's like, I have 33 people that's on my individual team that produces content. Yeah, Team Gary. So, it's tough doing it as one person, building out a team, having someone that knows how to do it the right way to start out, and then building a team around it, or incentivizing your sales guys to be a part of it. So, right. So if you have a production manager or someone that's a content manager that's posting on the main homepage of a company, having each individual sales guy share it, right? Share that initial content. And then that's going to boost the overall engagement on the homepage. And then from there, what you can do is you can say, hey, sales guys, this is going to get you guys more business. This is going to get everyone more phone calls into the office. So make sure you share it, like it, comment on it. Tell your friends to do the same thing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out a contest where you can make an extra $2,500 this month or whatever it is. If you generate a video that gets the most views, right? Or, that you have the most reach at the end of the month. Incentivizing your sales guys to do it, I think that's a good way to do it as well, to make it competitive, because either way, it's not about the money for most of the sales guys. It's about the competitive side of it. That's one thing I always responded really well to it. So I think if you want these guys get involved, especially at the sales level, you got to incentivize them to do it.
Yeah, gamify it. That's huge. Yeah, because like most, we've been doing this for a while. And then when I go into companies like Watkins, for example, they have 14 sales reps. There might be 3 that are like open to doing video content. The rest are like, I'm just going to do my thing, But it's kind of like that flywheel. The first couple sales reps start doing it. They start getting more leads, going on more appointments, closing more deals, making more money. And then the other reps are like, hey, bro, like, where are you getting those leads from? Like, how'd you get that one? Like, where'd that come from? Oh, yeah, my social media video. So, you want to kind of get those early adopters like going with it, so then the others can kind of catch on.
Hmm.
Ideally, but there's always going to be some who are just like dismissing it, which is
Hmm.
okay.
And I'm sure I lose a lot of leads that come into the office rather than them calling me personally, right? But like I'll never forget one guy reached out on Facebook, and it was a big church downtown in Memphis. And the great thing about our industry is that no matter what, it converts. One roof pays for whatever you invested into the marketing side of things, especially when it's free and organic, like most of the stuff that I do. So like
Yeah.
I had this one, I'll never forget. It was right when Facebook or Instagram started moving towards videos. I was really down on my luck, and I got one lead on Facebook that turned into a $72,000 job that I ended up making 15 grand off of. That's when I was like, this is awesome, and you're hooked right back in. So,
Yeah.
and it can come from anywhere. I had one like 2 months ago, ended up being a 63 square roof, $23,000 roof. And, I got him off of one post I made on Twitter that got 47 views. Right.
Huh.
So that's the thing. I mean, sure, paid is great, but the creative is a variable. The creative has to go out regardless. I tell myself all the time is like I wonder how much I parrot him. Just off of listening to him. I've been listening to him since I was 2015, somewhere around there,
Okay.
and he just puts out so much good knowledge, and so many people hate on him about different things. And I
Mhm.
understand that he's veered off and went into NFTs and different things like that. But the guy is a practitioner. I mean, there's no one better to imitate than Gary, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. I'm a fanboy for sure. Yeah, the creative, the organic, the free content, people sleep on that, right? Because the ads are sexy, they're easy. I can just spend some money and boost a post or run an ad. And like that used to work, 2016, 17, 18-ish. Like that worked really well, even in big markets. I talk about this all the time, right? Like we used to run ads for clients in Dallas and Denver and Chicago, wherever. And it was easy. Even like
Mm-hmm.
running ads for ourselves, like was like super easy. Now it's not, right?
It's
So like
complicated.
you can't run at because there's so much more noise out there. There's more advertisers and more roofing companies. There's more of everything, right? So like, you get companies that try to run at like social media ads, Facebook and Instagram ads, and they don't have that foundation of the organic, the brand, the video content, the photos, the everyday content. And they end up getting a bunch of leads, but they're just like, bogus leads or low quality leads. People have no idea who that roofing company is, that sort of thing. So the organic thing is huge. And it's interesting because like we started off as a company as like teaching contractors how to do Facebook ads, and it's evolved into so much more than that. And like now, like organic is almost like taking over, like as more
Oh, it's
important than
crazy. Yeah. TikTok is a necessary evil. That's why I tell people all the time. Like, you got to think once that TikTok gets banned, or if it does, it should get banned considering how much money Facebook puts into politics. But TikTok is a necessary evil because I don't think Instagram ever intended to let people go viral. I don't think they ever wanted to. I think they wanted to give people reach so they can find out, if a video is working or not, and then they can run sponsored ads around it to get to more people. And then TikTok comes along and just says, hey, I'm going to throw your business model out the door, and we're going to steal your followers or people that are on your platform, because we're just going to give that away for free because our intentions are geared towards something else, collecting data and
Yeah.
collecting information. The more time people spend on the platform, the more we can run ads around them because they're so busy trying to go viral that we can just run sponsored ads in their feed all day as they try to figure it out.
Yeah. Do you have a tactical question? Are there, 'cause people always ask this of us, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not asking the right question right now. Like, just get good and then figure it out. But are there like certain times of day or days of the week that you found are more beneficial for posting for you?
I used to think that, and I don't know if it's now that I've gotten to a point where it gets to people regardless. But if you guys want a blueprint for it, I always tell people 9 a.m., noon, 3, 6, 9. Those are really any time. That's the thing that you kind of figure out. But yeah, it used to be more kind of predictable because you got to think noon is great because it's lunch break. Everyone's on their phone searching for lunch, going through their feed at lunch. But at the end of the day, I think the tactics on that end is like I post a lot late at night, and I think it's a great thing to do because it gets more engagement because no one's posting late at night, right? There's a gap in the supply demand aspect of things, which is very narrow these days. Um,
Right.
but I think it's great to understand, like, you got to understand that when these features are introduced, when a new platform is introduced, there's a supply and demand issue, right? So there's less supply, you're going to get more demand for your content. So you're going to get more overall reach. When there's high supply, you're going to get less demand, less reach, right? So that's one thing that I've always been big on is, just hopping on things that are new right off the bat when they first come out. That's the best thing you can do. And learn how to do it, figure it out, and learn how to produce at a high level. How do you do that? By absorbing the content. Just like Gary says, spending time on the app, playing with it, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And if you're able to dissect that and figure it out, it's really not a complex thing to do once that you understand how to do it.
Yeah, like I think it's underestimated how important that is. Like Gary talks about it, like spend 20 to 30 hours to learn how the platform works. And like, all right, maybe that's a little bit of hyperbole, but like spend 5 to 10 hours to figure out how this stuff works, right? I mean, you don't really stand a chance because you got guys like Andrew who are practitioners of it, are in there, more than me, I would say. We've got John on our team. He's our video guy. He's our video trainer. He's also kind of like, he coaches me on like, hey, here's what you should be doing next. Here's what we're doing. Right. So I have the luxury of him like staying on top of everything and letting me know what to do. But like, you have to be in it. Like, otherwise you really don't stand a chance. Right. It's like, it's anything else. Like if you're using the same sales script that you had from like 8 years ago, like that's not going to cut it. Like you've got to continue to like be in the game. So
Oh yeah, and it's that's the thing. I wake up in the morning and probably the first 30 minutes of my day, as soon as I get on Instagram, first 30 minutes of my day after I get a cup of coffee in me and everything, I probably engage with more people in the first 30 minutes of my day than most people engage with probably their entire week, to be honest with
yeah,
you. As far as comments, answering DMs, just overall kind of absorbing what's going on the platform that day. I got it all figured out within the first 30 minutes. And then after that, I go out, get whatever I have with roofing that needs to be done that day. I get that done and out of the way. And then usually around 11:30, that's when I start looking at what I'm going to post for the day, right? It might be something as pictures, a carousel post or just a standard photo. I'll put that out at 12 o'clock. If I decide I want to do a reel that day, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do, either generate it on the spot, or if I have something planned or clips that I need to cut up, I'll do that and post it at 3. So it just really depends on what I want to do. That's the best part about it is like I get to 3,000 people or 2,000 people, or that's not even including the stuff that I do on LinkedIn and all the other different sites that I'm on. But I'm getting to that amount of people and I'm doing what I like to do rather than sitting there. I remember first getting into sales and like being up at the office from 9 until midnight doing 1,500 mailers. I just remember saying to myself, like, beat my head against the table, like, why am I doing this, And then when social came along, and then now it's to the level that it's at now. Like, if I want to run sponsored ads around it, I'm getting leads. If I put out organically, a lot of people respond off of that too. So I'm getting the 3,500 people without having to do the 1,500 mailers that I spent 4 hours doing.
yeah,
And then you got to think about on the cost side of things, the company. That's why I told my dad, I said, thank God we don't sell T-shirts by mail, right? Because we would be out of business pretty freaking quick if you ask me.
right.
You're lucky that we convert no matter what it is.
Yeah,
So, that's the conversations I have with my own father is like, hey, listen, and same thing with Michael. Like, Michael is a great operator. But one thing that my brother always used to tell me back in the day was he's built it up so much to where he has all this free time, he doesn't know what to do. I told him, Michael will probably get a kick out of it listening to this, but I remember telling him, like, tell him to go out and generate some content then, instead of paying
Yeah.
the $10,000 for the Hillsong people to come up there and do all the videos and everything. Just go to the job site with your phone. And, he has a $30,000 drone that I don't have. Fly up that $30,000 drone, Michael. He'll probably get a
Yeah.
kick out of this. But
Yeah. They got that whole YouTube series in the lab. That was pretty interesting. But
yeah,
that was like way over the top. And I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, he's like, yeah, he's got the time, he's got the money, not really sure what to do. It's really cool. Needs a little direction. Yeah.
I'll never forget Jerry the King Lawler. This was one of the first times that me and Michael started texting back and forth. Jerry King Lawler, he did a cameo video for me for $250, and I gave him $100 tip. Right? I was like, because he did a really good promo. He's a local guy here in Memphis, and he did this whole promo around me and the business and everything. And I was
Awesome.
like, wow, this is great. So I posted it on Facebook, and that was the first time I ever seen a video take off. I mean, it got like 10,000 views right off the get. And
Oh, wow.
phones started ringing the next day, like just leads pouring in. We had a major storm right around when I posted it. And then I started running sponsored ads around it, and it just blew. It just continued to funnel in leads. And so Michael said to me, he's like, I'm going to get Brett Favre to do one for me. And I said, okay, that's great. I said, how much does he want for it? And he's like, he wants, I think it was $5,000 or $10,000. I'm like, no way. I said, don't do that, and he's like, I'm going to do it. So he does it. And then Brett Favre comes back, and it's like, he doesn't even do that great of a job in the promo. Like, the good thing about wrestlers is you can guarantee a wrestler can cut a promo the right way.
Yeah.
Football players are different. They kind of treat it more like an interview, after a game. And so, he didn't really get the value out of it. But I told him, I remember saying to my brother, I'm like, he could have paid, a bunch of different creators on there at that time, $250 to $1,200, and we're talking about people that were on Ghostbusters, all these different major TV shows, and they would have done just as good of a job. And I think it had something to do with Brett Favre being from Jackson, I believe, and so maybe that's the reason why I did it. But the good thing about my father not being behind me as far as financially supporting me with this stuff is that I've had to get very creative. Like that money I spent on Jerry the King Lawler, that was my personal money. The money I spent on ads initially, that was my personal money. And then once that he saw the results, then he's like, okay, here, you can have $400 a week or whatever, And I still don't use it. I treat his money like it's not even, I spend my money more than his money,
Right.
So,
Right.
So that's the thing. I always been really sensitive. It's like how much reach can I get without spending the money? And then, like, if I do spend money on it, that's even better. It's only going to get me more places.
Yeah, but I like that because you're focused on like the product, which is like the creative, which is the actual content. Like, and then if you want to boost that with some dollars, great. You're not like relying on on the ad spend to get you the results. Like you're focused on that core product, and the money is just fuel on the fire, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't have the fuel without the fire. And a lot of people do that. They want to spend money, but they don't have like any fire. So they just have a big puddle of,
And you got to think about the amount of money that's wasted on ads too. And one thing that you find out by running nothing but organic is like, if a post gets to 2,500 people organically and you put money behind it, it's going to cost you less money to run to people. So like I posted one recently that did really well organically, and I put like $20 behind it. It ended up costing me 80 cents a view or a click or whatever it was. I was like, well, that's pretty cheap. And then I run one around that I spent all this time on, 60-second video, and it cost me $8 to get in front of people. I was like, that's something I need to figure out there. Like, how do I get that same result? What was different there? I think one of it was because the video is longer. It takes more investment from a person to sit there and watch it, So, those are the things that I think if you run organic enough, it kind of gives you a good gauge of where it's going to go. If it performed well organically, put money behind it, it's only going to do better.
Yeah. And again, like you've got to be in the game to have a sample size to figure out like what's working and what's not. I had a guy reach out to me earlier this week, and he's he's a roof salesman. He's looking to do some sales coaching and things like that. And he has like this one testimonial video, and he got it made, and it's okay. It's not that great, the video. And he's like, hey, what should I do with this video? Like, should I run it as an ad? Like, I want to get it out there. I want to start promoting my sales coaching business. And I'm like, give him some tips on the video. But it's like, dude, like, this is one video. Like, there's like, you can run it as a Facebook ad if you can figure out how, but like, it's probably not going to work. Like, cause it's one video, right? It could, great. Most people are going to tell you, yeah, run it as a video. I'll help you. I'll charge you to do it, whatever. But like, it's probably not going to work. Like, you got to have 10 videos, 20 videos. Like, you got to be in it, like to understand, like, it could be an amazing video, but maybe it's the algorithm didn't pick it up in the first 5 minutes and just doesn't do well. Like, you just like, sometimes it's luck.
And then you got to think about it. Say it does really well, right? It takes off for the guy. He just gets lucky and it just shoots off to the moon. They're still going to click on your profile. Then what's behind it, right? What's behind that one video? People got to think about that, you know, and that's one thing about me is like, I use all my stuff in the house. So like, I got hundreds of photos of roofs that I've done. And I'm just sitting there swiping through it and knowing that the person that just came in behind me or before me or whatever the case is, I know that they're not putting on the same caliber of roofs and they don't look as damn good as they look on my iPad. I'm just swiping through one after the next. It's hard for people to compete against me. I feel bad for them sometimes. You know, but they catch up over time too, you know? But yeah, it's that's the thing. You got to think about the overall presentation. So if you're not producing content every day, then where's the story at? Where, I tell people all the time, producing content is like writing a book, right? What if you just stop writing a book and you just left that chapter out, right? Like you just took a chapter out of a book, it wouldn't make sense anymore. It wouldn't be as good of a book. It probably would be a terrible book. And the good thing about producing content every day is like writing a book. You're just writing a different chapter every day, and people can follow along with it and they can follow your whole story. I encourage anyone who wants to be successful on social media, go back and look at my stuff at the beginning. You can see it was a really rough start, but it just, over time, it just, it was my journey. And so that's why I tell people is like all my customers become friends on Facebook afterwards. All my customers, if they have an Instagram, they're on my Instagram list. So that way they can see what I did yesterday, what I'm doing today, and what I'm going to do in the future. And that relationship can continue to grow. I had a lady, I did her roof 2 years ago, and she just reached out the other day. She had a tree come down from a neighbor's house, damaged her gutters. So $7,000 gutter system we're installing for her, and she's an avid, how I initially got a roof initially was off of Instagram, so.
And then those people like that lady, like you're top of mind for her every day. And so if she hears of someone that needs a roof in a Facebook group or at the golf club or whatever, like there's no doubt, right?
I had a good voicemail today. I wish I wasn't on my phone right now because I would pull it up and let you listen to it. But it's a realtor, Jim Hood. I've done probably 6 or 7 different roofs for him over the past 2 years. It initially started with a Navy SEAL, and then he just referred me to another Navy SEAL that's over in Germantown. So I get to run over there and take a look at that. But when you're posting every day, it just keeps you top of mind for people to refer to you and say like, hey, I am having a hard time getting this house sold because the roof didn't pass inspection. I need to call Andrew because he can help me. He might be able to help me out with that,
Yeah. We signed a new client today for our company. So this is like, I would say it's mind blowing, but it's not because it happens enough, right? Mm-hmm. So this guy is a roofing company in Texas, shocker. And he reached out last week and he's like, yeah, man, been following your stuff for a while. Like we tried a few different marketing companies, didn't work out. What do you do? Let's talk, that sort of thing. I looked at my CRM and I'm like, dude, we met at an event in Dallas in September of 2019. That is 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago. I haven't seen him. I guess maybe he's not that active on social. I haven't seen him interact with my content. Haven't heard from him. Zero for almost 4 years. And then here he is signing up for like our 12-month program. He's all in, excited, sends me a selfie video. you just never know. Like, you never know who's out there watching just because they're not commenting, engaging, whatever.
Hmm.
Like, you just got to trust the process. Like,
Well,
you got to
I'll,
process.
I'll do even one better for you, right? So I remember specifically back in 2014 when I first got into it, going on YouTube, Facebook, and you and Becca Swisser. Those were the two people that were out there. And I always wanted to do your podcast because I was like, man, this is a guy that I think is it in the industry. Like I have huge admiration for you. And there's something about being first, and being a leader in the industry in that area, and that's something that you've done very, very well. And I remember seeing those videos when I was younger, and at the time, I don't think I was absorbing that much because you're just a young kid. But like just following you over the years, I was like, this guy's an OG. He's an original gangster of the, of the marketing side of roofing.
Oh, appreciate that. No, I'm just thinking about those videos back in the day. Like, whew, please don't go back and watch those, anyone. They're probably cringe. No, I appreciate that, man. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And it's like you kind of said it before, like a couple times, like you're always evolving. So like you're gonna look back at your content and hopefully you're kind of cringing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of an inside secret, but like I repurpose some of my written content now because I've been doing it for so many years. And I have 2 Google Docs. I have probably 400 pages of Google Doc of written posts right now. And so I'll go back a year or two and like, just kind of scroll through. And some of this stuff, I'm like, man, I sound like an idiot. And that was only a year ago, right? And so
Yeah.
I I beat myself up for a second, but then I'm like, oh, well, that means that I'm growing. And now, like
Mm-hmm.
a year from now, I'll look back now and look, sound like an idiot too. So I guess that's how we
Well,
grow, right?
yeah, that's how you grow. And like I was looking back through, I was trying to find something that I could put into Chat GPT to make a quick post the other night and rewrite it, right? So I took an old caption that I made like a year ago, but finding that caption that was good, it took me like an hour and a half, like not an hour and a half. It took me like 10 minutes or so. But either way, like I remember like looking through my old posts, I'm like, man, my captions were terrible back then.
Yeah.
But like that's another thing you can do. Like with AI emerging, that's going to be a whole different trip for us. A whole different trip for everyone to kind of adjust to. And so, like one thing that I do is I'll bounce an idea off of it, and I don't recommend people using what it comes back at you with because like sometimes it does sound like a robot. Like
Oh,
it's
people post that directly and you can tell right away. Like,
oh
you
yeah,
see a Facebook.
especially LinkedIn. LinkedIn,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just so
yeah.
obvious. It's like you're not that
Yeah.
smart, but
Yeah.
but either way, like you can sit there and take certain ideas and say elaborate on this, and then you can pick apart what it gives back to you, and then you can make it your own. And so, like it's only getting more efficient to produce content at scale for digital creators and business owners. So, like when I have conversations where people are like, I don't know if it's worth investing my time, it's like, what do you think we're going to do? Go back to, we're going to go back to the Stone Ages, and start, you
Right.
know, doing old school. Like we're going to go back to a phone book and you're going to find me, an old phone book and look me up. No, like this is a digital age and we're only going digital forward. So like you might as well start now because if not, you're just digging your own grave, bro. Like you're only going
Yeah.
in deeper in the dirt. How far do you want to go down? So
Yeah.
that's what I tell people. Like, if you don't know how to produce content, better start learning how to, better start attempting and trying to do it. Because it's like, if you're not changing with the times and adapting to these platforms, it's going to eat you over the next 10 years. And so that's what I stress to my own father. That's what I stress to other people in the industry. Like, of course, it's worth investing in and learning how to do the right way. I think you got a lot of people that are good at teaching it. I think you're a great example. I know there's some other guys that are in the industry that do it. And, I think everyone can put their 2 cents in and we can all grow together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Do you have time for a little bit of a lightning round, quick questions, or are you like
Yeah,
really
sure.
low?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So just like to have some fun with these questions and bring it down to a personal level. This has been an awesome conversation. I feel like we could go forever. If you could be any kitchen appliance, what would you be and why?
I would be a dishwasher. Reason being is I like to make people better. I like cleaning up stuff, and I think that we're on our own personal projects, and I think other people are just as much of our own projects as well. And I'm just one of those type of people that always is looking to make other people better and make myself better. So that's what I would be.
All right. Love it. Love it. So you're obviously a consumer of content. Do you read books as well?
Yes, I do read books, audio books
What do you
mostly. I'm
read?
not a very fast reader.
All right. What are you listening to right now?
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. That's what it is. It's a really great book. It's about a guy that works his way through the Great Depression, and he has a conversation with the devil and like how the world works from the devil's perspective. And it's like an interrogation of the devil. So it's a good way to
Oh,
kind of really dive into, it's one of those self-help books that really focuses on like how do you operate in a changing world that's really difficult.
all right. Cool. Yeah, Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, right? So I've read that a couple of times. I actually don't think I've ever heard of that one. So I wrote it down. I think you already gave the answer away earlier in the episode, but what is your next travel destination?
Next travel destination, Florida. Definitely want to go out west as well, but Florida is the next one. We got a little sister graduating for my wife, so we're going down there, hanging out and seeing her walk. So that'll be fun. Going to Universal for a day.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. And you've got a free Saturday, no work, no other chores or obligations. What is Andrew doing on a free Saturday?
On a free Saturday, I am playing with my kid. We like going to the parks. If I get a Saturday off, a lot of the times I use it the mornings usually to generate content, and then the afternoons I'll spend, and we usually go to the park. If it's not a full day, it's a half day at the park, but we're just outside playing. And weekends are like my time to like really, I still put out content, but I just kind of shove everything to the side and make sure I'm spending it with my son.
Awesome. How old is he?
He's 4 years old. Best kid I could ever ask for. Like completely left out, like never in a bad mood. Just always so much fun to be around. So that's my next favorite thing to do other than sell roofs and do marketing.
Nice, nice. Love it. That's a good trifecta. All right, Andrew. Well, man, I really appreciate you spending the time here. I feel like we could have gone for hours, but thanks for opening up, sharing with our audience. It was great to personally connect with you. And we'll make sure that we share all your links and whatnot below, so the audience, you can grow your followers and grow your views. And hey, if you're in the Memphis area and need a roof, now you know who to call, right?
That's right. Well, the main thing is I want to appreciate you for what you've done for the industry. And if you ever want to, I think that you would do great at putting on an event, like doing something like like what you see at the International Roofing Expo. It doesn't have to be on that scale, but if you ever decide to do something like that, I would love to come speak at it. I think it would be an honor to, like I said, I would come just to do it for you, because I think that you've done so much for the industry, and you and Becca Switzer, there's very few people that laid the groundwork for everyone else to kind of build on. So appreciate
Wow.
what you do.
I appreciate that. Ironically, we are starting to throw our own events, smaller events. We hosted one here in New Jersey a couple months ago. Our next one's in Columbus, Ohio in June, and then Denver, then Orlando. So these are like 100-person full day marketing workshops for roofing companies. We kind of winged the first one and we did really well. And now we're like building the blueprint. We've got more team members involved. We had a really good planning meeting today. So it's going to be, next one's going to be even better. So I'll show you some info on that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate your time. If you ever want me back on, just let me know. I'm just a phone call or text away.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and look forward to getting this out to the industry and out to the world. Take care, Andrew. All right, guys, you heard the man. Get out there and put this stuff into action, all right? Just get out there, get the reps in. Don't worry what you sound like. Don't worry what you look like. Don't worry about being professional. All you gotta do is take out your phone and get on video, take some pictures, take some videos of your job sites and things like that, and just start getting in the reps and dedicate some time every week to actually making this happen. You're not going to be a superstar overnight, but if you chip away at it and be consistent at it, you will definitely see some progress, all right? So make sure you check out the links below. Say hi to Andrew, give him a thank you, connect with him, give the old digital handshake on Instagram. And as always, if you found value in this, I appreciate you sharing it out to your friends, to your colleagues, on social media. That really helps us spread the word and really impact more people, all right? Talk to you soon.